Greetings, my friends, and welcome to the World According to Waz. This is my second episode of the year. It's Sunday, January 8th, and hope you're all having a good New Year so far. We're only 1 week into the new year, and we've already got a lot going on in the world. A lot of news, a lot of things going on. The big thing, it seems, that's been happening this past week, of course, was the electing of the Speaker of the House. Kevin McCarthy finally got elected to be Speaker of the House. Took 15 votes for him to do it. And he still narrowly won, but he did. So Republicans, they got their Speaker, and I guess they're ready to go. I guess there are some good things that have come about this, though. It took so long for them to actually get McCarthy in as Speaker. And a big part of the reason is a lot of let's say a handful of Republicans, they were demanding certain things before they would agree to nominate him, to vote for him to become Speaker of the House. And there are some good things that they've got in concessions from McCarthy, if McCarthy stays true to his word and actually honors them. A few of them that really interest me is a vote on term limits. Now, this is something I never thought I would ever see, and, well, we still haven't seen it yet. It remains to be seen if it will actually happen. But apparently they've agreed with Kevin McCarthy to put it to a vote, to basically propose a bill. There'll be term limits on at least members of Congress, and they're going to vote on it, it looks like. This would be fantastic. Another major thing that happened with the concessions, and has to do with McCarthy vowing to address the border crisis. He's going to concentrate on that. As we know, Joe Biden has basically been ignoring it, and him and his administration basically have been, for the most part, claiming that there really is no crisis. It's nothing to worry about. And, of course, this is nonsense. We've got so many people crossing this border left and right. And it's just a big mess down in Texas, California. These states are having major problems, and we've got to do something about this. Another thing that I'm really happy to see is that McCarthy, after his acceptance speech, becoming Speaker of the House, says that when Congress reconvenes, the very first bill, the very first thing they will address is repealing the funding of the 87,000 new IRS agents that the Biden administration pushed through in that Inflation Reduction Act last year. And this is wonderful news because, as we know, these 87,000 new agents, they weren't put in place to go after millionaires and billionaires. They were put in place to go after average people like you and me. People who make $30,000 a year, $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year. And McCarthy says we're going to put a stop to that. We're not going to fund it. So this is a wonderful thing, and hopefully this actually pans out. Another thing that they're talking about is spending cuts. Well, Republicans actually cut spending for once. It seems like no matter who's in charge, spending keeps going up and up and up. The debt ceiling, it just keeps going up, up and up. It doesn't matter who's in charge. Even when Donald Trump was president and Republicans controlled Congress for a while, the spending just went out of, it's just insane. Donald Trump, and I loved when he was president. I would be more than happy to see him be president again. He never proposed a budget that was smaller than his predecessor. Nobody does that. They keep increasing the spending, proposing bigger and bigger budgets. We can't keep going on like this. I think what is the actual official debt, I think, is $31 trillion. And there's talk that if you include unfunded liabilities, it's like a couple $100 trillion. This is just insane. At some point, the whole thing's going to collapse. We've got to rein in spending, and this is going to include massive cuts across the board. In every agency, in every program, it's got to be cuts, massive cuts. I'm not talking minor cuts like a few percentage points. I'm talking double-digit cuts, 10, 20, 30%. We need big cuts, and it has to happen now. One thing I'm curious about with the new Republican Congress that's coming in is, will they actually do something about the revelations that have come about with these Twitter files that have been released? Government working in concert with social media to censor you and me. Are they going to do something about this? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about this being mentioned with their deal with McCarthy. But Congress has to do something. Congress must act. There's just far too much evidence now. Many of us knew that something was going on before. But now we've got actual evidence due to Elon Musk revealing these files. You know, the CIA, the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, censoring speech. You and me talking about this, that, the other thing. They don't like our opinions. They're emailing Twitter, maybe calling them up sometimes, and saying, hey, this account so-and-so, ban them. And in many cases, Twitter did. And it's not just big accounts. It's not just big accounts with millions of followers. We're not talking about the Ben Shapiro's of the world. Even though some big accounts have been banned. But a lot of them are smaller accounts. You've got accounts with 300 followers, 1,000 followers, that the FBI is worried about, you know, because they don't believe January 6th was the major catastrophe that the media is making it out to be. Or they may believe that Donald Trump was ripped off in the 2020 election, you know, because they're questioning the election. They want these people silenced and in many cases just banned altogether. You know, there has to be some sort of accountability. Congress must act. The Republicans must act. They must demand, they must hold hearings. They must hold people's feet to the fire. And the people that they really need to, you know, bring into account is the people in government who did this. People in the CIA, the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, people in contact with Twitter, asking, making these requests, and these requests being granted by Twitter to silence certain people and ban them. These people have to be, if they're found guilty, they have to be brought up on charges, prosecuted in a court of law, and if they're found guilty, they have to go to prison. This has to happen. And it can't just be one person. It has to be several people, from the higher on ups down to lower level people. Particularly the higher ups. We have to send a message. You can't do this. You're not allowed to do this. The Constitution forbids it. And even if it didn't forbid it, in a free country, you're allowed to speak your mind. You know, we're not shouting fire in a crowded theater. We're questioning whether or not this jab is safe and effective. Why is that so wrong? Science is all about inquiry and questioning things until you come with a concrete answer on whether or not something is good or bad, whether or not something is right or wrong. What has to do with the election, 2020 election, or whatever it is. They can't censor our speech. We cannot allow this. Congress must act, and some people have to be prosecuted and put in prison. A couple of days ago on Friday marked the second anniversary of January 6th, 2021, what happened on that day. And what happened on that day, I mean, some of it was bad, without question. There were people who were violent. There were some people who definitely should be arrested, brought up on charges. But everybody's acting, well, not everybody, the media and the left is acting as if it was this major insurrection. There was bloodshed everywhere, people, dead bodies everywhere, and that Donald Trump orchestrated it. And it's all nonsense. It's just all lies. And 2 years on, they're still harping on it, as if it's the worst thing that's happened in the history of this country. We still have people in jail over this, people who didn't do anything wrong, other than you could say they're at the wrong place at the wrong time, if that. And if that's the case, then what should happen? You get a grandma in there holding an American flag. Should she be in prison? Probably not. I don't think anybody would say she should be. The media I've heard several times over the past few days that 5 police officers died on January 6th in the Capitol. That is an outright lie. Not one police officer died on January 6th in the Capitol. The only person that died on January 6th at the Capitol was Ashley Babbitt. And she was murdered in cold blood by a police officer. And yet, they just keep lying. The whole thing is just a sham. The hearings, the proceedings. I mean, there's really nobody on the right even involved in this. The only one really on the right involved was Adam Kinzinger. He's retired now. And this guy, I don't like him at all. He's just horrible. And the fact that now he's going to be working as a senior political commentator at CNN tells you everything you need to know about Adam Kinzinger. This is not a patriot. This is not a conservative. This is just an establishment shill. And in my opinion, from what I've seen, he should have been a Democrat the whole time. I don't know how he got elected as a Republican. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But these lies just continue. You know, the tweets that were reinstated after Donald Trump's account was reinstated, and you can see the tweets now from January 6th. All his tweets are about, he's telling everybody to be peaceful. Don't go crazy. You know, remain calm. Obey the law. That's what he was saying on that day. And the committee, they're just lying like crazy. He incited this riot when he did nothing of the sort. I want to talk a little bit more about Delmar Hamlin, who's been in the news this past week. He's a 24-year-old professional football player for the Buffalo Bills. Plays defense, a safety. And after he made a tackle in a game against the Cincinnati Bengals, he basically collapsed on the field. His heart basically stopped. And this apparently is called motio cordis. And it's interesting watching people on social media and even in the news talking about this as if they know what they're talking about. Almost none of us, including you and me, probably even heard of this term before this past week. But apparently it does happen. It is something that can happen if you get hit in a certain spot in the chest hard enough. It can basically stop your heart. And fortunately, he's come around. As of right now on Sunday, he's off. The breathing tube has been taken out of him. He's speaking on his own. He had a video meeting with his teammates. And I think he even tweeted or sent something out on social media saying, you know, thanking everybody for their prayers and that. So this is a good thing. I don't like to see anybody get hurt, no matter who it is. And whether or not you believe this is related to the jab, that's a lot of speculation, of course, going around about that. I don't care if this guy had the jab or not. I'm just happy he's okay. Unfortunately, a lot of people on both sides now, particularly on the left, they've been, you know, for the past year or two, some of these very vile comments about people, if you're unvaccinated, I hope you die, and things like this. This is just ridiculous. Why would you want somebody to die? You know, it's just don't be so stupid. And now we've got, unfortunately, some people on the right saying the opposite. And almost like they're celebrating that this guy had this problem. Delmar Hamlin, 24 years old. I mean, I'm most conservative. Most patriots are not like that. It's usually coming from the left. But unfortunately, there are a few people on the right, a few nut jobs who are saying horrible things. And hopefully this stops. But this does call into question, we're seeing this a lot more these days, the past year or two, 2021, 2022. Young people, and it seems to be mostly males, teenagers in their 20s, just while playing sports, just collapsing, in some cases dying. Now, this is not something that's never happened before. The thing is, it's happening more and more frequently. I saw something on the news where they were talking about the number of cases like this that have happened. And it's been like 1,300 cases, 1,100 cases in the past 2 years since the jab came out. And to get to that many cases prior to that, you have to go back 30 years, over a 30-year period. So basically, in the past 2 years, we've had as many cases of young men, athletes, normally healthy people, great physical shape, just passing out on the field, collapsing, and in some cases dying. More people, this has happened to more people, or as many people in the past 2 years than the previous 30. And the question is why? Is this a coincidence? Now, I'm not going to claim to know the answer. A lot of us think we know the answer. We may be right. But the fact that we can't even question that, well, now we can, thank goodness. We can question it, where in the past you could not. And we have Elon Musk to thank for this. Now, Elon Musk, a lot of people on the left, the news media, it's interesting how the news handles these things. The Twitter files come out, and Musk releases all this data showing all this communication back and forth between government and Twitter. And instead of the left and the media, which are basically the same, the left is the media, and vice versa, addressing the issue and dealing with the question of whether or not this was done, they attack Elon Musk for other things. He's a racist. He did this. He did that. And this happens too much in our society. Lawyers do this quite a bit. When somebody's brought up on charges in court, instead of figuring out whether or not what this person did, if they actually did this thing that they're accused of, they will try to spin things and make it that person being accused of this and that, or a defense witness or what have you, as not being reliable because they slept around on their wife or they did this or the other thing. Instead of, focusing on, did this person do this or not? This alleged crime, did he or she do this? That's the main thing here. And the main thing here is the jab causing things like this to happen? Most of us, we just want the truth. Whether I'm wrong or right, I want to know the truth. If it's not causing this stuff, then fine. If that's the case, show us evidence and I'll believe it. But of course, that's not the way it works. You're not allowed to question things like this. We told you that it's safe and effective, and you should have it done. And if you don't, you're a bad person. That's basically how the left sees this. But again, back to Elon Musk and the Twitter files. So in regards to COVID, Anthony Fauci, there's going to be more information coming out in the COVID files about him. The Twitter files about Anthony Fauci and, what's going on with him, what has been going on with him and Twitter in the past couple of years. We have Elon Musk to thank for this. Now, he is public enemy number one. The left hates him. They want to kill him. That's how bad it is. That's what they do with whistleblowers like this. Julian Assange, Edward Snowden. The government comes out and they basically want to kill these people. Julian Assange is in jail. He's been in prison for how long now? For exposing our government. Showing us what they're doing to us. Spying on us. Edward Snowden, the exact same thing. Now, he's not in jail, but he's basically hiding from the United States federal government because he exposed these crimes that they've committed. They're using our tax dollars to spy on us and to do all these different things that they claimed they weren't doing. They've lied about over and over and over again in congressional hearings. And these things are being revealed as being true. And I think this is going to have a ripple effect on the rest of social media. If Elon Musk can turn Twitter around, which it looks like he's doing, if he can bring on more users, and if he can do things like, work on the videos, long-form videos that Twitter supposedly is going to be hosting, hopefully in the near future, we'll have people maybe from YouTube coming over to Twitter and saying, YouTube is just horrible. It censors me too much. It does this and that. I'm leaving. I'm going to Twitter. These other social media companies are going to have to reevaluate themselves, because if they don't, they're going to be losing out completely. Twitter's going to take over everything. Facebook has been crumbling. Facebook has been in danger for a long time now. But Facebook, YouTube, Google, all these companies are going to have to change their tune, or they're going to just collapse. So this is a good thing. Elon Musk is changing things. Now, I'm not claiming he's a saint. I don't know the guy personally. I just know what he's doing here is good. It's great. It's fantastic. We need more of this. And I think I'm going to wrap it up for today. Hope you guys enjoy your Sunday. If you like what you're hearing, please give me a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe to my channel. And I'll be talking to you again soon. This is Waz signing out.